What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Ride and Dad channel video, or welcome if it's your first time. Either way, very glad to have you. I apologize in advance about some of the background noise. I am currently doing a load of laundry in the washing machine, so hopefully you don't hear too much of it, but I'm sure you will. It's just poor planning on my part, and I couldn't wait any longer to get this done. So, what's in the box, you might ask? Well, you already know because you saw the thumbnail, but it's finally here! Let's roll the intro, we'll talk all about it.
Riding down a YouTube channel, it's the riding down a YouTube channel, it's the riding down a YouTube channel, it's the riding down a thing you found.
Alright, so that fairing is a carbon fiber fairing. It's an FXRT fairing, obviously, from Dominator motorcycles. So those of you familiar with this brand, this is overseas. I actually bought this fairing about 5 or 6 months ago from Speed Kings, through Speed Kings from Dominator, obviously. They had a really good sale and was really awesome. Eventually, for you guys keeping up with this build on the lowrider, I am wanting to do carbon fiber side covers, carbon fiber front and rear fenders, and then obviously this carbon fiber front fairing. I am super excited to finally get this. For those of you that knew, they quoted like a 6 to 8 week lead time, which is about 2 months. Obviously, I was having issues with getting tracking numbers after that time, so I reached out to Speed Kings. For whatever reason, Dominator wasn't getting back to Speed Kings. They weren't getting back to me via email. So I'm like, what the heck? How long am I going to have to wait for this fairing? Like, I get it if it takes longer with everything that's going on in the world. I understand that, but at the same time, you spend $2,800 on a fairing and you want to know, at least have some sort of update, like when to expect it kind of thing, if it's past the original one. Long story short, it finally shipped. I found a local rep, local US rep through Facebook forums. He was super helpful. So thank God I found him. He was actually able to track down like more of an estimated wait time. It shipped out pretty much right exactly when he said to expect it to ship out. But basically, get this fairing shipped, I get the tracking number, and then UPS says it's on the way. And those of you who know me know I hate USPS first, and then I hate UPS second, and I actually like FedEx. So UPS on October 18th said it was out for delivery, and then the next one on October 18th said delayed. Usually when this happens, that means they just didn't get to it. In my experience with everything that I've ordered over the past couple of years, it just means they didn't get to it on the truck for whatever reason. It'll be there in the next day or two. So several days go by, about a week goes by, and there's absolutely no updates at all. So I call UPS, I'm like, hey, where's my fairing? It said delayed, and then there's just no other updates for weeks now, week and a half-ish. And then UPS says, all right, we have to open up a claim with it to find out what happened to it. So open up a claim. About 3 or 4 days later, it says that it's just lost, and to contact the sender to figure out what's next. So, as you might imagine, I was very upset. My expensive fairing that took 5 months to get to me now is going to have to be remade again, and my wait time is going to be double what it was before, and I'm going to go through a whole nother season of winter without having this fairing. It was really going to be upsetting to me. Reached out to Speed Kings. Speed Kings was like, yeah, we got the notification from UPS as well. We reached out to Dominator. We have a good line of communication with them now, and Dominator said they're going to make you a new one, and they're estimating like 2-ish weeks, which I thought was awesome. So about 2 weeks go by, maybe 1.5, whatever weeks, and Speed Kings calls me when I'm at work, and I was expecting them to say, hey, the fairing shipped out, which is awesome. But instead what they told me was UPS sent them an email, and they said they found my fairing, and I have to go pick it up. It's there for me to pick up at the local shop, or local shipping, whatever, warehouse you want to call it. So I'm like, what the heck? So I told them, I was like, all right, I'll go pick it up. So I get over to UPS that night. I'm like, let me just get this straight. You guys said you lost my fairing, and then you contacted the sender. The sender was going to remake it, and then all of a sudden you found it, and now you won't even attempt a delivery. And the lady was like, yeah, it says on our records that the receiver, which is me, obviously, said that he refused delivery, and he said he didn't even order this fairing. It's like nobody even talked to me. I made a claim because you guys lost my product originally. So there's a whole mess. Again, why I hate UPS, but it's here. That's the bottom line. We're going to go, once it's on, we'll talk about initial quality and stuff, so I guess can show you a little bit more. But now we're obviously in the beginning stages of trying to mount this sucker up. So it comes with the mounting hardware, it comes with a bracket that's going to be mounted here, comes with the frame mounted bracket that's going to be mounted at your top tank bolt area, and then at the little bolt where your horn is, as well as a support. Everybody's a little bit different. I watched a couple different videos. I was unable to find one specifically from Dominator. Their bracket hardware is a little bit different than a lot of other companies. They also don't supply any directions, and I can't find any like PDF on their website. Like a lot of places will just post a PDF of how to do it and you can print it out or look at it. Couldn't find any of that. I feel handy enough to tackle this on my own, so we are going to do it by myself with nothing else. So if I correct myself later on through the video, something I wound up realizing I did wrong, we'll correct it. At the bottom, like I said, there's this bottom bracket that mounts over here as well. That bracket has mounting points on the side. That's where I'm going to relocate my turn signals. You do not necessarily need to take your entire tank off for this at all. It is easier if you're relocating turn signals just to have full access to your wiring cluster that pops in the tank with this grommet over here. I removed it mainly because I had to rewire some stuff for my power vision, my GPS, stuff like that. I'm rewiring stuff and changing it up a little bit now that I have this fairing, and then obviously, especially my turn signals, I have to rewire a bunch of stuff as well. So that is the main reason why I did that for me. You don't necessarily need to take the tank off. I already removed the headlight. This comes with everything you need except a headlight. I actually went with some Eagle lights because I had a really good sale about 2 months ago that I could not pass up at all. Super, super good sale. But I went with the slim mount style that like Moons and Rogue Rider has as well. So they all look about the same. But they come, like I said, it comes with everything. A lot of fairings, you do have to wind up drilling holes later on. Because this is a carbon fiber fairing and it's completely ready to mount up, Dominator has pre-drilled everything. So the only thing we are going to do is literally just bolt stuff up. So obviously you see that my bike is already a little bit bare here. We're going to go ahead and start to mount up the brackets and get that kind of sorted out. So I'll move you guys closer and we'll start tackling this job.
So first I installed this underpiece of the bracket right above where the horn is with some red thread locker. Next up, it's time to fit the main bracket piece. This piece rests over the tank and comes with an extended bolt, which I put in as a placeholder until I get the tank back on. Then I bolted up the bottom piece to the main part with some red thread locker as well. I have a crash bar here, so this next step is a little different for me, but typically you would just unscrew these two bolts and reinstall them with the support bracket. But because I have the crash bar, I had to go buy some longer bolts to accommodate for the bracket and the crash bar from the local Ace Hardware. And I used some red thread locker here, and I didn't tighten them up all the way just yet. Next up, I installed the fairing mount to the main bracket, just finger tight. It's finally time to fit the fairing up and bolt it to the bracket with the headlight ring. The headlight ring has 3 screws to adjust the beam of the light, and I chose to mount it with the 2 bolts on the bottom, but I'm not sure if that's technically correct. Then I unscrewed the top ring from the mount and installed the headlight and adapter harness. Next up, I prepped the expansion nuts for the installation of the windshield. And finally, it's time to install the windshield. Apparently I forgot to film the headlight cover install, but it uses the same expansion nuts as the windshield. And after the fairing itself is completely done, made sure to tighten all of the bolts up for the bracket and the bolts for the bottom support bracket on the bike and the fairing as well.
All right, beautiful people. The fairing's on. Everything's 100% done with it. You obviously should notice that I'm in a costume change. It's a new day. I had to do some stuff with the family, so basically just got enough done yesterday with the brackets and everything and fit the fairing kind of loosely. We went ahead and tightened all the bolts. I'll show you some pictures of how I mounted the turn signals on the bottom, but it's just through the existing why is it making a weird squeaky noise? My kickstand. It's just through the existing 2 bolts. It's the front of the 2 bolts on the support bracket on the bottom. Instead of using the mirror stem mount, you unscrew that little piece as like an Allen bolt with like a nut on the end. Just went ahead and went to Ace Hardware, got the same size thread pitch. I want to say in my head it was 5/16 by 24, but I could be wrong. But anyway, got a slight bit longer and then put double nuts on it, 1 nut snugging it up to the fairing and then 1 nut snugging it up to the actual bullet turn signal so that they could be clocked, you know, whatever position you want. So do I like the fairing? I'll be really honest with you guys. $3,000 almost. This is not what I would, in my mind, say is a $3,000 quality fairing. I'll put some pictures of now, but there's all of these, they look like 3D printed, washers, I guess, kind of like finish washers for all of this is just really bad. There's kind of parts of the plastic coming off and everything like that of it. Same thing with this. As far as how the headlight goes, the trim ring around it bubbles up when you tighten it correctly. If you don't tighten it down enough to where it starts to bubble up, then it doesn't seal even remotely close around the actual curves of the fairing. I have not had any other experience with carbon fiber parts that I've personally ordered, just from what I've looked at. This is supposed to be a finished, obviously you could tell it's finished carbon fiber versus the inside of this, which has all the markings of, you know, the laid carbon fiber and stuff like that. But parts of this are gloss, parts of it are matte. The finish is all over the place. Corners are rough. I mean, it's really not quality you would expect from something that I hear so much good quality about. The US rep specifically told me, he's like, hey, I know it's gonna take a long time, just bear with it for a little bit. The quality is awesome, you'll be more than happy. From everything I've seen, I would have thought the same thing. The way the screen matches up, like the actual windscreen on it, this dark black edge along the sides comes up more on this side than on this side, which is not a super big issue. Somebody walking by would probably never notice it, but you as the person that paid $3 grand for this and put it on and is gonna be behind it looking at it every time you're on the bike, you definitely notice that. Like I said, the headlight ring doesn't appear to be centered when you're looking at it straight on, as far as like where the headlight versus the actual like headlight kind of cutout in that goes. The holes were an absolute nightmare getting it in because you had to really stretch this, which is part of why this ring doesn't fit well around there. Like I said, guys, just a lot of stuff that honestly makes me really kind of a little bit depressed that I spent this much money on this fairing and waited this much time when I probably could have gotten a better deal with something else. All that being said, also, when you put the tank on, it is an absolute nightmare to put, and this is partially my fault, this has nothing to do with Dominator, minus the fact that their brackets are different than any other brackets. A lot of the brackets that I've seen have little indents where they fit underneath where the tank mounts to the frame, and you take those frame grommets out, and the bracket fits there, and then the tank goes on top of it, so your frame stays all the time. This is gonna kind of suck because if I ever have to take the tank off, I'm gonna have to fight with that bolt because it pushes it. Now, over time, the heat, the garage and everything, it may be, like it'll maybe settle to where it's at and it'll be less hard to push that. But yeah, that's, that as of right now, that really sucks trying to do that. But again, that was partially my fault because I didn't know where I wanted the turn signals and the wiring for that stuff first. If I had that all figured out, it would have been a lot easier. However, like I said, now, if I ever have to drop the tank ever again, I'm gonna have to deal with that bolt, and that took like an hour just to do, but there was just no good way to film that. It was just putting the bolt back in where it was when you saw it originally, just with the tank over top of it. And it sucked. I did finish mounting up the power vision how I wanted it, and I mounted up my GPS holder there with obviously quick detached GPS. The only thing that's not 100% finalized is I have to get a long RAM mount instead of the medium RAM mount that I have the GPS on right now, just to put it a little bit further away from the bars, and it'll be perfect. I'm not sure in the future if I'm going to do any kind of audio setup or anything else with this fairing. I have to go test it out on the road, but here it is. This is my honest, true first impression / install of it. Like I said, as far as quality, I've not heard anything bad about them, so maybe I just got some riding dad luck, similar to what I experienced with Ruroc, I got like a really bad batch of it or something. I don't know, but it is definitely upsetting to say the least. But overall, I think it really complements the design of the bike. I'm really excited to get on it and put some miles on it and see how I like riding with it. So stay tuned for the ride review video. Check out all the other videos I have on this Lowrider S build. It's finally pretty darn close to completion. There's just a hair more things that I want to do to it, but everything else is pretty good so far. But yeah, playlist for this, playlist for that Sportster build, which is like an ADV off-roady. We're getting there slowly but surely. Make sure you check out all the links in the description, get some discount codes, some coupon codes, and affiliate links that help me out. Make sure you subscribe to the Riding Dad channel, hit the thumbs up on this video. Thank you guys very much for watching, and until the next time, guys, ride safe, have fun, Dad out.